Okay, so welcome everybody. This is Journal Play Session 3. We're excited that you're here. I'm Holly Johnson, Program and Outreach Coordinator. And of course, joining me again this week is our instructor, Beverly Army Williams. And she has reminded us that whether or not you think of yourself as a writer, keeping a journal provides all kinds of benefits, from reducing stress and anxiety to creating a record of your life, and to also helping you achieve your goals. So again, this is session 3 in our 4-part series, and we're excited to have Beverly Army Williams, writing professor and mixed media artist, helping us to explore different approaches to journaling. She's also has various prompts and activities for us that keeps things interesting each week. They're different each week, and I've been enjoying what I'm seeing, and I hope you are too. And there's an opportunity for homework assignments. So if you'd like to keep your skills sharp between the sessions, Beverly always has something up her sleeve. So we appreciate that. A little bit more about Beverly. She is teaching writing at Westfield State University. She is also a writer herself and a mixed media artist. Her work has appeared in knitty.com. That's KNITTY.com. Also in Interweave Crochet, the Dandelion Review, and the Ekphrastic Review. She is the co-editor of the website mothershould.com, and she co-teaches workshops nationally with photographer Gail Zucker. They combine beautiful photos and words to create compelling social media content. Beverly holds an MFA in fiction from the University of New Mexico. And I was going to say that's probably warmer in New Mexico right now, so I like thinking about that, but I don't know. They've had that cold snap down in that part of the country, so maybe not so much. But at this time, I'd like to give an official welcome to Beverly and let her take charge of the journaling workshop. So welcome, Beverly.
Thank you so much, Holly. It's so nice to be back here today, and thank you everybody who returned. It's nice to see you again this week. I wanted to check in and see if anybody did any journaling, if you were here last week, since last week, and if there's anything you'd like to share about your experience, maybe what prompts you tried, whatever you feel moved to share, you can unmute and go ahead, or you can share in the chat.
Well, I have been, because I write several times a week anyway, like forever, but I did the columns of did and saw several times this week. And an amazing thing is happening. I can remember things. And when I am out, I'm going to remember that because it's going to go on my list. And so I'm also not only remembering things, but I'm also jotting down the reactions I had to things I saw, things I did. Very quick. And then I go on and then I write my regular journal entry in the style that I have developed over the years. It's not a style, it's just putting stuff down. But it's a little bit different because it is the stuff that I do on the saw and did list. I wouldn't remember that I wouldn't remember otherwise to comment on in the regular stuff the following day or the following couple of days. And I really appreciate that. And I will continue to do that. It's also part of the making comics that I'm doing this winter to keep myself, I don't know what, but keeping myself. So I'm developing like a portfolio of ideas and thoughts. And I don't know how I'll ever find anything again, but I'm just so appreciative. I really, really, really am.
Thank you so much for sharing that. I know when I started doing, I call them quads, just that's my shorthand for them. When I started doing that, I was amazed at how much I was remembering as well. It's an incredible tool. So thank you. I'm glad you're having that same experience. Yeah. Honey, did you want to share anything?
I took one of the ideas from your list when you listed. I went back to when Holly sent it to us again. The blue you can see through is soft. And I I chose a few, but the one I really like the most for me right now is you can see through. And I picked a magnifying lens. And because I can't go anywhere in this house without this. So I could see through it. I could see, I wrote down, it wasn't a great writing, but I just wrote down expiration dates, phone numbers, pictures with details, and inscriptions, dates that I can't see even with my regular reading glasses. So I chose this because this was the first thing that came to mind, something I can see through, and I can see through well.
I love it. I love your interpretation of that. That's super fun. Great. And Karen shared in the chat that she's been liking the deep dive gratitude. Great. Great. Thank you. So today I thought we would talk about dreams and dream journaling. And I mean this in two ways. So I want us to think about our sleeping dreams and I'll call them waking dreams. So the dreams we have at night or whenever we sleep, and the dreams or goals we have for our lives and for our ambitions. So I'm going to be talking about both of those. There are benefits to journaling both of these areas. So in terms of recording our sleeping dreams, we can use that to fuel creativity. That journaling can be good for processing emotion. And there's research that says that it can help you gain control over lucid dreaming, so that you're better able to kind of control those dreams and be more of a part of the dreams. So I thought I would share a technique that I had one of my poetry teachers taught me, because I'm a person who doesn't remember my dreams very well. And I always want to. So I'm going to share the screen and I just did some photographs that I'll share really quickly. So what my teacher had me do is, before I go to bed, I draw a circle. So you see a bunch of circles on the page. And that's my way of telling myself, I want to remember my dream. I'm inviting my dreams to stay with me so that when I wake up, I can write about them. So all it is a circle. And when I wake up, I put down whatever notes. And you could see in this one, this was from almost 2 years ago. I had a dream about Ruth Bader Ginsburg, and that we were talking in a room the room was lined with Black fabric, and there was another female, a conservative female justice, and we were talking about voting on a woman's issue, and that's what I remembered. So that's what I got in there. Another one, actually this one is kind of funny. My husband and I were out after an ice storm, and we were walking around, and I needed ice clips to walk around, and the ones I had Yankees branding. And I lived in New York for about 15 years. So if I'm going to be a fan of a baseball team, it's going to be the Yankees. So I thought that was really funny. And then partway down, I put a lad, which tells me, like, in my memory now, that word tells me he probably had a cap on and looked Irish to me or something like that. But he lived there where we were, and he came out to help me get the clips, which I had lost. So he was helping me find them. So there's not a whole lot that I'm putting in there, but as I flip through and go back through this, I can mine it for images that I can use when I'm writing poems. Here's a dream that I was in a church. It felt like the church I grew up with. I was with my husband, but it wasn't him, the way people are in dreams. And then there was a man in a white suit with a large German shepherd at the end of the pew trying to talk to me. And my cousin was here and I was here. So he's trying to talk to me all the way across all that. I get up to talk. He passes a business card over to me. So I don't know what to make of that. And I'm not someone who's deeply interested in figuring out what my dreams mean. I more want the symbolism from my subconscious that comes up in our dreams. So I'm interested in symbols that show up. So I think it could work really well if you are interested in doing this, to just start keeping a little book by your bed or wherever it is that you sleep, and see what you can remember when you wake up. I use a little field notebook. So, you know, these are tiny, right? They're very little. And I use a little notebook deliberately for this because I want low pressure. If I have a big notebook, I'm going to think I have to remember a lot. And that, you know, I've made it so no, I could fit 3, 4 on a page. This page has 3 of them in there. So I feel like if it's low pressure for myself, I'll remember more. So that's one way I want us to think about dream journaling. And then the other is in terms of exploring your life dreams. And it can be useful to use your journal to help you understand your goals, to help you plan to achieve those goals, and to be playful and imagine possibilities. You know, it's pretty low stakes to write in your journal. So if you are thinking, you know, I want to make a graphic or a comic essay by the end of this year, that's one of my goals. Well, then you can be really playful about what would that look like? What would be in it? Who would be the characters? Where would you set it? What's your style going to be like? And you could, you know, your journal can serve as a sketchbook too, if that's helpful to you. So one way that I love to help students imagine possibility and kind of get at things is to use a mind map. And is anybody familiar with mind mapping? Okay, so I'll explain it. So we use mind maps. What you do, and I like to do this pen to paper. I'm going to do it on the whiteboard. I hope that'll work out nicely. But I more like to do it on paper. And when I'm doing it with students in person, I usually get really large pads of paper, like huge pads of paper, and everybody gets a sheet of paper, and that's what you use, so that there are no limits. So you might end up wanting to tape paper together to get yourself a bigger sheet of paper if you don't have one at home. But at the center of the paper, you put the thing that you most are wanting to explore. So I'll use the example when I do this of putting together a poetry chapbook, which is not a full collection, but maybe a collection of about 15 poems. And then, excuse me, and then your goal is to connect that life dream with anything you would need to do to get to that dream. And then bring similar activities together and kind of drill down, what do you need to learn, acquire, or change to do that activity? So I'm going to demonstrate this. And just bear with me as I do this. So it's not quite the center, but we'll imagine. And then I'm going to put now, remember, I would be doing this pen to paper if I had a better way to do this. So then what I do is, once I have the thing at the center, I start drawing lines and putting more circles. And one thing I know is that I have to do this, I have to decide on a theme. Goodness. Let's pretend that's nicely in the circle, okay? And then I would start drilling that down. So I might draw a line and then another little circle. And I might say persona poems. Whoops, text. So I have a series of persona poems, so I could do it about that. And then I might do one about, oh, I write about nature a lot, so maybe I would look at my nature poems. So I would keep going with everything that I might imagine could be a theme. And then I might do another bubble over here that's going to get me thinking about where could I get it published. So I'd write publication, put that in that bubble. And then I would drill down with different places I might get it published. I might think about contests, small presses, et cetera, et cetera. So the trick with a mind map is that you want to move fairly quickly. Like, don't overthink it and don't censor yourself. So in other words, if something seems a little ridiculous or a little strange, put it down and let it be part of what you're creating so that you can think about it more later. You don't have to think about it now, you just want to get it down. So what I would really love to do is give you the opportunity to create your own mind map, pen to paper, and you can do this in your journal. If I were doing it in my journal, I would probably move it from being, whoops, wow, all my little scraps fell out. Move it from vertical to horizontal, just so I have kind of a different shape to work with. If you have different color pens, you can use different color pens for different strands of your ideas. But otherwise, one pen is fine or one pencil is fine. So what I want you to do is in your journal, draw a circle in the middle of one of the pages and put one of your life dreams or goals that you're hoping to make some progress on. And then start moving around with what are some things that you need to know in order to, or need to do in order to move forward with this dream. So start those drilling downs, and you can keep drilling down if something excites you. If anybody has any questions, just unmute or pop them in the chat, and I'm going to give you, I'll give you about 5 minutes for this. Okay, so let's take just a few moments to get to a good stopping place with this. And the nice thing about mind maps is that you can go back to them and work on them again, or you can take something that's in the center, or that's not in the center, but one of the circles, and put that at the center and start building a mind map about it. There was a question of, could this be a short-term goal? Absolutely, right? You can use this for any kind of, really any kind of part of your life where you want to just do a brain dump of brainstorming. So whether it's for a writing project, a creative project, a house project, whatever it is, it could be really useful. And this is used in workplaces a lot too, where teams work together on mind maps. And if you don't like doing it pen to paper, although I'm guessing everybody here does because you're in a journaling class, so I know already that you like pen to paper. But if you don't like that, you can use, there are apps that you can get for your iPad or whatever device you have that you can do it on that. So if that's easier for you, those are available. So would anybody like to share their experiences with the mind map? Anything that surprised them or interested them in doing that? Sure, go ahead. Oh, you're muted.
I don't know how to make the chat share. Anyway,
Oh, that's okay.
I was trying to write, my son uses this a lot and he uses Post-it notes. You know, everybody gets a different color so that you can see where things overlap. And, you know, if you're doing a project with somebody, like building a kitchen wing, you need to know who's who.
Yeah, that's great. When I do mind mapping with my students at Westfield, I teach a class called Career Prep for Writers, and we do mind mapping in that class. I usually bring, when we do it in person, I bring different colored markers for the students to use so that they can start to see relationships of different parts of their lives that they're mind mapping about. But yeah, that's great if you're working with a team. Everybody gets their own color and then you know what's what. That's terrific. Thanks. Any other insights or thoughts about mind mapping? Okay, then I'm going to shift us into what I'll call more traditional journaling tools. I have about 30 minutes worth of prompts, a little less than that, so that we'll have time to share if you want. And I always like to start with a spiral, that spiral warm-up exercise that I've shared before. So you take your pen and you just go around, you could just do it on the page or on a piece of scrap paper. You go around and make a spiral. The goal is to put the lines as close together as possible without crossing over. And when you feel that you are present and ready to journal, you can stop doing that. So I'll just give you a minute to play with that. Okay, and I'll put each of these in the chat and everything will be on a document that Holly will share with you later. But the first one, and these are all focused on what I call the waking dreams rather than your sleeping dreams. But if you would like a prompt around sleeping dreams, just pop something in the chat and I have one I can give you. So we'll do it with the waking dreams though. So with one of your dreams or goals, if that's what you prefer, in mind, and it can be a short-term goal, it can be as silly or as serious as you want it to be. Write about where you do want to be in the next week, the next month, the next year. So we'll only spend about 4 minutes on this. So write fast, don't edit yourself, and just where do you want to be with this in the next, each of those periods, week, month, and year. So let's take another minute with that. And remember, you can always go back to these. Okay, so get yourself to a good stopping place. And the next one takes the other tack, which is with that same dream or goal in mind, write about where you don't want to be in the next week, next month, next year. And I'm going to do 3 minutes for this. Okay, we'll take about 30 more seconds with this one. Okay, get yourself to a good stopping place. The next thing I want you to write about is what resources do you need to reach your dream or your goals? So you can list this, just do a list, or you can write in paragraphs. And I want to encourage you to remember, by resources, I don't just mean outside resources like I need to get paper or I need to get a certain kind of pen, but also what inner resources do you need? So what do you need to call on from yourself in order to reach this? And we'll do about 4 minutes for this one. Okay, so let's take about 30 seconds to get to a good stopping place there. this is my favorite of all the prompts that I like to do around goal setting and dreaming in my journal. And that is to free write about what life will look like when you reach that dream goal. So imagine it done. What does life look like? And I'll give you 3 minutes for that. Take about 30 seconds to get to a good stopping place for this. And then finally, this is the last goal-oriented question or dream-oriented question for you. Free write about one small action you can take towards your dream, your goal. And then free write about how that action will lead you to the next small action. So really think in tiny moments. I'll give you 3 minutes for that. So take about 30 seconds to wrap up and get to a good stopping place. Okay, and as you wrap up, I'm going to share in the chat one of my favorite quotes from the writer Annie Dillard. And it says, "How we spend our days is, of course, how we spend our lives. What we do with this hour and that one is what we are doing." And the reason I like that is I think about it when I'm dreaming in my journal, when I'm trying to say, okay, this is a thing I would like in my life. This is a thing I would like to do in my life. And this quote reminds me always, that it's down to hour by hour achieving the things that we want to achieve. So I hope that you find it inspirational as well. I wanted to leave us a little bit of time to share, either share something that you wrote, share what your goal was, or share your experience, anything that you feel moved to. And of course, you're welcome to unmute or to share in the chat.
I've had, part of why I started the Making Comics project is that I'm an energy healer, and for, I don't know, close to 40 years, I have been doing written meditations, asking questions I feel to the universe, getting answers, writing down what I intuit or feel or hear. And it's different than writing fiction or writing an essay for, I don't know, a project or something. Comes from a different place. And I have real amazing nuggets in my stacks of notebooks. And I have not figured out how to organize it.
Mm.
And I've tried, and I haven't, over the years, I've not come up with this. And then I thought, well, why don't I illustrate it? I can't draw, but let's not let that be a thing to hold me back. And this has been so helpful because I can see that I could make my spirit book with my wackadoo drawings, continue to learn how to draw, because it doesn't have to look pretty. It doesn't have to look like anything because I'm dealing with energy, not real things. And then it's just, I have to find allies, and I have to turn off that criticism that is stupid, I can't do it, it's dumb, all that stuff. And find allies, because I'm really a person who this whole lockdown has been just heaven for me. I just like being on my own and making up what I do all the time, and certainly not having responsibilities or obligations. That's part of it too. And I think today has put me on the path to something that I have wanted to do, and maybe even a way to construct it so that I can put these bits together and see what happens in a year, as long as I follow my plan.
You've just made me so happy. That's so delightful that, it was maybe not even half an hour of writing, and look at you. Congratulations. That's exciting.
Thank you.
Yes. Yes. Honey shared in the chat that she has had great frustration in completing a 1,000-piece puzzle. That is a serious goal. Yeah. So I wonder how these prompts were for you as you wrote about that.
The prompt helped me to think about what I could do, because you did say small actions to lead us to the goal. So I decided I'm not going to set a timer, because that'll make me anxious hearing a timer, but I'm going to set a certain amount of time each day, no matter how frustrating it is, to work on that. I mean, now I just walk away from it. I'm looking at it right now and I walk away from it. But if I can set a small amount of time each day to do a little bit, I'll be okay.
Yeah, great.
Honey,
And
can I ask, honey, it sounds like you have a New York accent. Is
I
that?
do, Long
where-
Island,
Oh, the
Long-
Island, of course.
I know, but
I'm
I- but I-
from-
but I've been gone a long time.
Not that long, not the one from Huntington.
Oh,
Okay.
okay.
Marnie, would you like to share anything, any reaction to the prompts or anything that came up for you?
Yes, this was very interesting. You know, I wasn't able to write a whole lot, I think, but it definitely got the wheels turning.
Great.
And so took a lot of notes. And I have to say, I love when you said how we spend our days is how we spend our lives. I think that's really just fantastic. So I do have some goals, I think, and this will help kind of narrow down. It kind of picks them apart into smaller achievable sections. So I'm kind of new to the whole journaling thing. So this has been really great. I appreciate it.
Oh, terrific. Next week, I think I'm going to be bringing in more Annie Dillard. So if you liked her, you might want to come back next week if you like that quote.
Great.
Karen wrote, "My wheels need an inspirational greasing as well." Thanks for sharing that. Was there anything else that you wanted to share, Karen?
No, I'm good.
Okay, thank you. So I want to just share my screen for a moment longer, and I will be sharing it to show you the optional homework. Of course, this is always up to you if you want to do any of this, and I give you every homework from the previous sessions as well. So you'll find them at the bottom. And if you choose to do it, you can, of course, do any of the prompts that you didn't get to from the earlier weeks. The next prompt is something that's kind of near and dear to me. It's something that I return to pretty regularly to remind myself of what it is I really want to be doing. And I invite you to, in your journal, think about something you liked to do as a child that you no longer do, and tell that story in your journal about that activity. How did you do it? With whom did you do it? What was fun about it? What frustrated you about it? And attend to those sensory details. So what would you hear? What would it smell like when you were doing this, et cetera, et cetera. And then ask yourself, is this something I could take up again? Do you want to? And could you? I also want to invite you to put a journal and a writing tool by your bed to capture your dreams. And the way that I do it, again, is just I put a circle on the page before I go to sleep, and I say, I hope I can remember a dream and put it in here tomorrow. And then the final one is focused on sleeping dreams as well. So are you a person who remembers sleeping dreams you've had throughout life? So I have a few that have been repetitive throughout my life. And if so, write down what you can remember without trying to interpret them. Just tell the story of the dream. And then I like to circle whatever I identify as a symbol in these kinds of dreams. And then on a fresh page, make a list of those symbols, and then spend 5 minutes writing about what each one means to me, not necessarily in the context of the dream, but simply what they evoke for you. So Holly will, I'll be sharing this with Holly so that she can share it with you all. And if you have any questions, feel free to ask them.
They look pretty solid there. You got a solid group. No questions coming in, nothing in chat. I don't see any fingers frantically moving. They all look good.
I hope this was enjoyable for you, and that you can see how you can transfer it to any kind of aspect of your life that you want to play around with exploring more fully.